Hey, what's going on, man? Hey, first of all, thank you guys for coming through. Um, we are here once again. It's another Wednesday. It is Ask the Q Speak Your Truth. Appreciate you guys for coming through. Let me just say something real quick, and I'm gonna just say this now. For those who might not know in regards to how I orchestrate this show or things to that nature, I don't send out invites to this show. And maybe that's a detriment to my own success, or maybe it isn't. But I'm of the belief that if you are interested in this in the conversation and things like that, you'll remember and you'll come down and you'll come down to get the content and things like that. So there's never been a show where I've actually sat there and sent out invites. You know what I'm saying? So because I am of the belief that the content that we produce here within this show is meaningful and it's worthwhile listening to, especially this particular topic in general with my guy Meta Coach. Um, Again, Lux Vision Studios. I appreciate you guys, my guy CJ and Miss Divine. Thank you so much for always coming through and making this a possibility. I appreciate it. Like we said in the intro, this is a particular subject that's near and dear to both of our hearts. Um, Highlighting men's mental health, especially during Mental Health Month. But before we get in there, just to touch on a couple of things that's going on in the world. Um, I ain't know if some of y'all know, but it's an NBA draft going on right now.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know my basketball players out there. There's an NBA draft going on right now. Shows you how much I give a damn about it. I don't know none of the draft guys. You know any of them? Oh, hold up. Y'all hear me?
Okay, I hear you now. Yeah.
They can't hear me. Hold on. We good? All right, we all right. We all right. Okay. Do I have to reiterate everything I just said? Thank God. No, I don't. No, yes, I do. I'm gonna do it anyway. Hey, CJ, you're gonna have to cut some edits then, cuz I'm gonna say it again. Hey, I'm gonna say this again. And I said this before. Just to reiterate a couple of things I said. First, I want to say thank you guys for coming through, and I appreciate you guys finding the content that we give out within this show worthwhile. I also want to say thank you to Lux Vision Studios, Miss Divine and CJ for always coming through and making me look good on this show. But I'm also wanting to say that I don't send invites out to this show. I don't think there's ever been a show in 2.5 years that I've sent out an invite. Why? Because I'm of the nature to where if this is something that's interesting to you, you'll come through and you'll show love. If it's something that you want to hear about, then you'll be here. You know what I'm saying? So I know there's a lot of people that's busy within this space and in this metaverse, but men's mental health is a big deal. And in my opinion, everybody and their mama within Horizon should be here. But again, maybe everybody got their mental health checked out based on the action that go on around here. I would think not, but it is what it is. So yeah, there's an NBA draft going on right now. I don't know if any of y'all are some basketball fans out there or not, but yeah, I don't know none of the people getting drafted. So this particular draft didn't even mean nothing to me. There's a lot of people from France though getting picked up for these basketball teams. I don't know what that to say. I don't know what that says about our NBA league or whatever, but it looks like it's becoming it's turning into a takeover by a lot of
Hmm.
other countries and things like that. It's not Americanized, not too much no more. So
Right.
we're gonna see how that goes. um, Chris Brown. Anybody like Chris Brown? Y'all like Chris Brown? Y'all like Chris Brown? Yo, he's on tour right now, right? And this man is no. In addition to the tour, he goes and does this meet and greet for $1,000. Yo, let me tell you, some of these pictures I have seen on this meet and greet, bruh. I don't know if these women married, got boyfriends, side pieces, or whatever have you, but they ain't gonna have none no more after they see these pictures. Yo, yeah, yes, I am. I mean, he grabbing their booties, they over there, they squatting down, they got their legs open. I'm like, damn, for $1,000, they getting their money's worth, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. That's what I said. But hey, the man is making money. There was an argument whether or not he is he has surpassed Michael Jackson in regard to his celebrity and his performances and things like that. You know what? I'm gonna sit here and say yes.
Mm.
I don't care what nobody say. Now, I take it. Michael Jackson had the ability to make people faint. You know what I'm saying? Just by the presence of this guy. Now, I don't know if Chris Brown is on that type of level, but you know what I'm saying? His overall body of work, hey, you can't argue, man. You can't argue this man's catalog, and you can't argue this man's phenomenal stage presence. Like, the man is nice. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just gonna be real with you. Divine over here in mute trying to cuss me out. Well, whatever. Yo, Michael Jackson will always be the king of pop, but man, I think Chris Brown in some ways has surpassed Michael Jackson. But we're gonna leave that to a whole nother conversation. What else is going on in the world? Starting July 1st, landlords can't ask the tenant for 3 times the rent anymore. Now, I don't know what state that's in right now, but that's some good news, I think.
Yeah.
You can't be asked for 3 times the rent anymore. Thank God. I don't know how people been getting rent. I don't know how people getting apartments with all that. Anyway, but to those who've been wondering, your prayers have been answered. These people will never ever ask you for 3 times the rent anymore. I'm trying to get to one of them states as we speak. So yeah. But yeah, man, that's the news around the world right now. So we're gonna just dive into this particular topic, man. And I want to say again, well, first we have someone who has returned to the stage. I watched him evolve in this space since he's been here. Awfully proud of the guy, and the assertion he moves within this space, and the things that he has accomplished within his passion and his willingness to teach others in regards to his professional field. My guy Meta Coach is here with me again today, man, and I want to say thank you for taking your time out to come and speak on this particular topic. I greatly appreciate you, man. Thank you. For those who don't know you, reintroduce yourself, sir.
All right. Yeah, I'm Meta Coach. I'm a behavioral life coach in here and in real life. And my focus and purpose is helping people move from behaviors that hinder them from getting where they want to go to discover the behaviors that move them in the direction of their own personal success. I have 2 talk shows in here that I do called Coached, and I do them on Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern time and Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time. And I also do a show called Let's Talk with Coach. And right now it's currently operating over in Spatial to a wide international audience. So, and it's taken off. It's really successful over there. So that's what I do in this space.
Definitely. And for those who don't know the background of me and this gentleman right here, well, one, he's a military vet. You know what I'm saying? He ain't even touch on that. He's a military vet, Air Force. Yes, sir.
That's right.
My guy. Yeah. So by just that nature alone, we've connected. We started out in trying to accomplish a lot of things for the vets within this space, and share wisdom and share our guidance in regards to how people can, you know what I'm saying, connect with each other on a veteran standpoint, and you know what I'm saying, just gravitate and feel like they were welcome within this space. We also had this one particular concept called honor amongst men, where we tried to get the men within horizon, like we try to do all everything right today.
Yeah.
Here we go again. We try to get the men within horizon to come together and, you know what I'm saying, just be vulnerable and love on each other. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of that doesn't happen, not with just within this space, but within real life, period, to where we can recharge as men and, you know what I'm saying, face the everyday battles of life. And I think that's definitely needed. And here we are yet again on another platform trying to do the same thing. And that's just wild to me. And it's funny how there's more women in the space than there are men. Yeah. So I mean, that just speaks. I don't know, man. It is what it is with me, because I'm definitely gonna do my part in regards to ensuring that the information gets out there. Whether the men take advantage of it, I mean, that's all on them. I can't not go real quick before we jump into this topic. I just want to say real quick, all that and then some is in the audience right now, and I just gotta say hi. Don't cute. I'm gonna always say hi to this young lady every time she's in this space. Hi, ma'am, because she definitely created something phenomenal. Hi.
Hi, Burden. Hi, Meta
Hi.
Coach. Hello, everyone.
No, that's my home. That's my girl, man. Yeah. And she definitely did something phenomenal for me, and I'm forever grateful for that. So thank you, ma'am. I appreciate you. Here we go. You ready for this, man?
I'm ready.
Hey, so today's topic is mental health. Well, yeah, men's mental health. For those who don't know, it's Men's Mental Health Month, and I thought it would be ridiculously important. I thought it would be very important for us to have a conversation about this. Why does it affect so many people, especially, particularly people of color, and how we can maneuver around this to better ourselves as fathers, friends, relatives, and things to that, and husbands as well. And so here we go. Yeah. So for those, I mean, just real quick, this go from the ground up. All right, and we're just gonna just go from there. So for those, I mean, when you speak of mental health, by definition, is the state of mental well-being that enables people to cope with stress of life, realize their abilities, learn well, work well, and contribute to their community. And for those, I mean, when you speak of mental health illness, it's just the opposite, if you will. Am I right, sir?
You're right, man. You're definitely right. And I encourage people to look at mental health in a parallel with physical health, because you can be a healthy body and right now, but something can happen to change your physical health. It can be minor, it can be major. And the same thing with mental health. And I think that for the most part, all of us have some type of mental health issue. Yeah. And I've had people oppose me to say, no, that's not true, but it is. And I like to look at it from the standpoint of it's a daily balance, maintaining your equilibrium. And some days you do good and some days you don't. And just like with physical health, some days you feel good and some days you don't. And I think what has happened is we don't identify mental health issue until it becomes a mental health crisis where it bubbles to the top. But all along, there are things that have happened along the way that are affecting our mental health, but we assume that it's normal. We assume that, hey, this is just one of those days. And so we just need to really look at it from that standpoint.
Okay, so check this out. This is how I'm going to do this until more men. Okay, look, I wanted to definitely put emphasis on men's mental health But I mean, I'm watching the crowd right now, and I got we got a couple of men in here that I'm going to address in regard to this situation. Met a newbie, so be ready to stand on this block. I'm just letting you know now, my guy, because I definitely want a male's perspective in regards to what we're talking about. So yeah, we're gonna open this discussion up.
Okay.
So mental health illness. So I just want to, before we jump into it, just read some stats off to you guys of something that you may not even know in regards to men and mental health illness. Suicide. Black men are more. Let me make sure I'm reading this right. Black men are 4 times more likely to die by suicide than black women, for those who may not even know. And suicide is the third leading cause of death for African American men ages 15 to 25, 15 to 24. Gail, what's up, man? Thanks for coming through. Death of despair. Death from suicide, alcohol use, and drug overdoses are known as deaths of despair, are higher among black people than white people in 2022. This number's tripled now from 36.24 per every 100,000 people in 2013 to 103.81 per every 100,000 people. Just to give you a couple of stats. Mental health treatment. Black Americans are less likely to receive mental health treatment than white Americans, with only half of those who need treatment receiving it in 2020. That's 17% of black Americans that has been reported. So I don't know if y'all understand, but as a black culture, we take up 40 million people in this country. And out of that 40 million, only 12% of us of that population are seeking help in regards to mental health illness. So that's only 6,800,000 people, or 800,000 people that are seeking help. Now, my question to you, Meta Coach, is why, first of all, why is that? Why aren't we as a culture trying to seek more help in regards to our mental health illness?
Well, I think there's a couple of reasons. And one is the misunderstanding about access to mental health. And the other is the stigma around that. So let me look at the stigma first, because as a black man, you know, we deal with a lot of things. We deal with a lot of oppression, a lot of oppression. We deal with a lot of issues trying to establish ourselves and maintain our credibility, maintain our livelihood, trying to be the man, the competition. We're up against all of that.
Yes.
So when we're in that mix of competing and trying to maintain, but also being told that you got to be better than somebody else, you got to be this, you know, you got to go far and beyond your counterparts of different races in order to compete. So to get to a point to where I say I need some support, I need some something to deal with my mental health, I'm not feeling my best, it's a stigma. I can't say that because now since I'm working doubly hard to maintain, it's going to make it triply hard for me to get back if I admit that I have a mental health problem. That's for one right there.
Okay, so one part of that, one aspect of this is accountability.
Okay, say that again. Yes.
So one aspect of this situation in regards to identifying mental health is holding yourself accountable to the fact that you actually have a problem and you need help.
Yes.
Just by a show of hands, or you can come up to the block. And holding yourself accountable, how hard is that for you guys to do? If anybody wants to come up to the block. So we basically hold ourselves accountable at all times. I'm assuming. Hold on, Lucy. Hi. You want to go on the block?
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Holding yourself accountability is something that is very difficult for people to do because holding yourself accountability you have to admit fault. You have to admit certain things about yourself, and not everybody. A lot of people have issues looking in the mirror of who they are and admitting certain things about themselves. So that's one big thing with men themselves is saying there's fault to them.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's difficult, but when you start doing the self-worth work and realizing that you are not perfect and you shouldn't put so much expectations on yourself because those expectations are being put on you, just like insecurities, you never had those insecurities until somebody put it on you, and now you took it and internalized it, and now it became a part of you. So you have to learn how to release these things from yourself and knowing that you can't control everything. And there are things that you can control, but the things that you can't, you have to let it go. And we do harbor that. And some of the harboring is from ancestral pain that we carry as Black people. We carry that with us, and we have to let it go. So when we go through our mental health issues and stuff like that, a lot of it is coming down through our DNA. A lot of it was inherited to us. And as Black people, we oppress each other. So that's another thing that we do to each other. So when it comes to me personally and being accountable for myself, especially as a woman, we are expected of it. But me as a person, in order to grow as a human being and as a woman, I have to admit some things. I'm not perfect. I'm never going to be the person they want me to be. I don't know everything. I need to be open and willing to learn new things. I need to listen. I need to so many things. And it's hard, especially the type of person I am, to be like, Lucy, sometimes you just need to be quiet.
Yeah.
And truth be told, sometimes you can't even hold yourself accountable, because in holding yourself accountable for certain situations and things like that, that might even prevent you from getting a job.
Yeah.
True.
You know, and to her point, the holding yourself accountable and admitting fault for a man, particularly a Black man, to admit fault doesn't come out as admitting fault. It comes out as I failed. And so, and like she was saying, you got some things you just got to let go. You have no control over. But if I'm being taught that I have to be successful, I got to be in control, I got to be a winner. Anytime I admit a fault and say, I can't do this, or this is beyond me, it comes across as failure. And that failure begins to flash like a neon sign. And that's one of the things that keeps men from sometimes addressing things that you can't fix because it sounds like failure.
True.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate you.
Definitely.
So I mean, okay, so there's not just, so basically you're saying there's not one particular factor that our mental health contributes to. It's not just one particular factor. There's multitudes of things that affect us as people of color, if you will, in regard to our mental health illness. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. And so look at it like this here. If I'm in my living room and I stub my toe on a coffee table, okay, that's going to affect me because now maybe I'm limping. So, but I can sit down and ice my toe or whatever. But say, Burden, you hiking across Interstate 10 and you about 40 miles out in the desert by yourself and you stub your toe. Who has the bigger problem? So we both stubbed our toe. So simple stub toe, but the impact in the situation in the place where we're at is going to determine the impact of that thing. And that's why some people don't talk about something that's going on in their lives that's causing them trauma, because in the light of things, it seems like a small thing and they're not acknowledging the bigger picture of their world. And that's when mental health crisis comes about, Because if you stub your toe 40 miles out in the desert by yourself, you got a problem.
Facts.
You know, me in the living room, I'm gonna sit down and ice my toe or get the remote control. You know, we both got stubbed toes, but who's hurting the most? So, and that's why sometimes we see people that go off the deep end and we go, wow, what happened? The person only told them to get to the back of the line or something, and they shot up the room. You know, and so, and that's why I say, you know, mental health is like physical health. We have so many things that's stacked against us, and we don't know what's going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back. And that's why it's so important for us to do those check-ins. And like Lucy was saying, realizing what I can and can't do.
Check-ins. We're going to get to that. Jen, yes, ma'am.
Hey, how are you?
Doing well, and yourself?
Coach.
Hey there, Jen.
How you doing?
All right.
I have a question. Would economics really play in this? Like, because the black man may not be equal as, you know, another nationality in pay, and lack of any kind of economics could be a cause too of the mental breakdown?
Coach, before you answer that, let me just highlight something real quick in answering that, and you can just jump back on it.
Yeah.
Because I definitely have something in regards to that as to why some of the reasons for these statistics in regards to suicide and deaths and things like that, or as to why people of color are more reluctant to seek help, especially men, in regards to mental health. So some reasons for these statistics include racial disparities in the American healthcare system and high levels of distrust towards healthcare professionals among Black Americans. So for whatever reason, there's a trust factor that contributes to the reasons as to why we are very reluctant to seek help and things to that nature. But on the economical standpoint, if you can chime in on that.
Yeah. And Jen, that's a good question too, because in the workforce, as a black man, sometimes you're considered a threat. You know, people kind of tiptoe around you and everything because you're a black man. Sometimes you don't get addressed the same way. You don't get the same insights that, you know, your white counterparts, other counterparts may get. So now, if I'm already looked at as a threat or somebody not to be messed with, and all of a sudden I have a mental health thing, and somebody finds out I'm going into therapy, you know, people are going to be looking at you sideways in the workforce. You know, so that's an issue. But then on the economic side too, to Jen's question, people who tend to be in the upper levels of income tend to be more aware of themselves and tend to take advantage of mental health therapy and things like that. And because there's money, but it also becomes culturally acceptable. You know, so you think about people who pop up, say, I'm in therapy. And you think about who they are, where they are, what kind of economic structure they're in, that they're proud of their being in therapy. So for some cultures and some income levels, therapy is just like, hey, I'm going to get a haircut and I'm going to go see my therapist. You know, we all got a therapist in our neighborhood, you know, that kind of thing. It's just common. But, you know, you get down in the black neighborhood, you talk about I'm going to be to a therapist. You say, well, you better get your butt to work. Talking about some therapy.
So yesterday I was at the Truth nightclub. My guy Fiji had a panel as well, and he was addressing mental health as well with Amber, Shelly, and if I'm not mistaken, Lovely was another participant on the panel, and they made the you want to say something, Lucy? You got your hand up? Okay. Whenever you have a question, you go straight to the box right there. But so she said something that stuck with me, and she said that Lovely or Amber said that mental health starts at adolescence.
Okay.
And I wanted to know what was your take on that.
Yes, I agree.
Mental health
100%.
illness. Mental health illness starts at adolescence. So, would you agree to that?
Yes, and I think that as a child, we are always going to be exposed to some kind of trauma, some kind of thing that kind of shapes our future. You know, it could be anything: upbringing, death of a parent, loved one, pet, abuse, favoritism. There's so many things, and it starts out as an esteem thing, and low self-esteem or your esteem is also going to affect your mental health, because how you feel about yourself is going to determine how you project yourself.
100%.
And so if you're not feeling good about yourself, your mental health is going to suffer, because you're not going to be able to fully appreciate your potential because of your low self-esteem. And in my practice, I've run across adults that are in their 40s that are still trying to get a parent to apologize and accept them. And they struggle with it. It's like, if they would only say, I'm sorry. And even I've dealt with people that person has passed on, and that person is still stuck with that. They passed on and they never said they're sorry. And so that thing has shaped and bothered them all through their life. And it's affected their mental health, because it's affected their relationships. It's affected their ability to enjoy certain things. So yes, childhood is a seed bed, a fertilized seed bed of mental health. Good, bad, the ugly.
Yes, Lucy, you're on mute.
We were talking about the root of where the stigma of mental illness mental illness come from.
Yes, ma'am.
And I always take things back in slavery times. During that time, anybody who had any sort of, we were all going through the same traumas, right? But those who were more affected by it were seen like disabled or handicapped. And the last thing we wanted was to have eyes on us, or like to be noticed. Just like when a child is very smart or very intellectual or aware, those parents try to hide them and say, oh, they're not smart, they're not this, not, to protect them so they won't be separated. And that's why we try to keep those things to ourselves, because we have a fear of losing something. We shielded ourselves with something. We don't know what that shield is still. We don't know what that shield is, but we're afraid of losing that shield, of saying, I have a mental health problem, I'm going through something. We've been protecting ourselves, just like those mothers would protect their child from being noticed. We're still doing that.
Right.
Yes.
We don't want to be noticed for having something that's considered weak.
Yes. And so, and to your point, Lucy, it makes it difficult for somebody to own up to having a mental health problem, because, like, the shame, the embarrassment, or the wanting to hide that away.
Yes.
Well, let's be clear here, because mental health issues, mental health illness doesn't have to be this glaring, oh my God, you about to die, or this is about to just completely traumatize you forever type of situation. This can be the basic of situations that just carry on, and that people just don't even notice that they even have a mental health illness too. Am I correct?
You're correct. And like I said, all of us to some degree have a mental health issue. And we don't recognize it sometimes until it becomes a crisis. Then we say, okay, they got a mental health issue because it's now been a crisis. But this is something that's been brewing all along. And some mental health issues never really get resolved. We learn to live with them. We learn to adjust. We learn to manage with them. It's when they get out of control, when they're not manageable anymore, is when we see the crisis. And so, and that takes away, and if we honestly look at it and said, okay, we all to some degree have some kind of mental health issue. We take the stigma away. Now, that doesn't mean we're all crazy. We're all going to go off the deep end. It's just that we're managing, we're maintaining, we're like to Lucy's point, I'm being accountable for my behavior, my thoughts, my processes, and I'm managing, just like I'm managing that stub toe.
Right,
You know?
right. Yes, ma'am.
With the stigmatizing of mental health issues, we as Black people, we say we ain't got time for depression. We don't have time for this because we're constantly in survival mode. But in the 24th century, we don't necessarily have to be in survival mode the same way as our ancestors was. And we are more focused on taking care of ourselves so that we can survive. Because you're talking about the suicide statistics, we had to deal with other people killing us, and now we're dealing with the fact that we're doing it to ourselves. So now we have to slow down and take ourselves out of that survival mode and pay attention to how we feel. We ignore how we feel because, like, I gotta go to work, I gotta pay bills, I gotta take care of my kids, and you stop taking care of you. You cannot show up as a good you, as the best you, if you're not okay. For your friends, for your family, for your kids, you can't show up as the best you. You can't give the best you if you're not good for yourself.
Right.
You know, and you're so right. And we get really good at masking our issues. You know, you go, hey man, how you doing? Oh man, I'm doing all right. But but the back of my head just fell off. But I'm doing all right.
Right. Definitely. No. So I mean, are there specific mental health issues that you can highlight right now that are prevalent through us as a culture that, I mean, some people may be living with right now or just don't even know it or don't think about it?
Yeah, there's a few, and one that comes to mind real quick is inadequacy. You know, not feeling that I measure up.
Anybody out here ever felt like they don't measure up? Anybody? Gail, my guy, sir, I got you. Give me a second. So Star, Gail, come to the block, sir. Cause you highlighted that you have been in situations where you felt like you never measured up. One, what was, if you would like to elaborate on it, what was the situation and how did you combat it? You on mute right now, my guy.
I wasn't talking yet. I was listening to you.
Okay.
I would say I'm in it in my personal life right now. You know, like I started remodeling my parents' house because they needed it. Like legitimately, their house was falling apart. And I started that a year ago, and I've had to get multiple jobs in order to pay for that. And it's been this process that seems to be never ending, and it's on me, you know, and I can't seem to finish it. It feels like I'm not going to finish it. Right. It is getting there, but it has, it's, you know, it's going to be going for a long time, and it seems to be my life right now. And it's like, you know, I should ask for help. I should get a loan. I should do all these other things, but like I'm stuck in just this mode of being the only child, the only help they have, blah 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 blah.
Yes.
And I want to just, you know, wave my hand and fix the whole thing, and I can't. I'm only human. I'm only who I am. But yet it's not enough, and sometimes I'm feeling from them that it's not enough, even though it's everything I'm working 6 to 7 days a week.
Yes.
Just to make that happen.
Yes.
You know, and being here.
No, 100%. And I'm glad you highlighted this particular situation, because people need to understand that it doesn't have to be something that's detriment to your life that's becomes a health illness. This is something that he is trying to do for his mom and his dad.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Something that, you know what I'm saying, that's going to make him proud. But the weight on the shoulders of trying to accomplish that creates a feeling of inadequacy, and you feel like you're helpless and you can't get it done. So then on the back end of that, if you don't accomplish this, my God. So go ahead, sir.
especially with the time and energy that you're investing in it. And like you said, there's that underlying fear. What if I don't finish it? What if I'm not up to the
Right.
task? You know?
Yeah.
And so that inadequacy, you know, you think about a young father that looks down and, you know, maybe he hollered at his child the wrong way. And now he's like, wow, I'm not a good father. I'm not adequate. As opposed to saying, hey, let me learn from this. I made a mistake. Let me do better. He retreats into this attitude of, I'm a failure. I'm not good. And when you start to wear that, I'm not good, I'm a failure, it's like, man, it just encroaches up on you, because now you begin to see other things that I'm a failure, I'm not good at. So inadequacy is one of those first things that I always look at when I start looking at those things that everybody deals with that could lead to a mental health issue.
So, sister, you want to elaborate, ma'am, on was it so? Yeah, I think it was, because you said there were situations in which you felt like you were inadequate. Do you want to open up and speak on it, or no?
No, I can speak.
You can go ahead into the block right there, ma'am.
Let me get on the block.
Oh,
I'm on
this
the
one over
block.
here. This one over here. This one over here.
Wait, this one.
So they can get you on live. There you go.
Oh, we on live.
Yes, we are.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can speak on it, y'all, because I'm a mother of 4 children. Okay, I got a 10-year-old, a 7-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old. Okay, and that's some heavy.
Go back on the block. Go back on the block. Go back on the block. Make sure you're on the block.
Sorry, I'm moving around.
You
okay,
good.
and that's some heavy work right there. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
So sometimes as a mother, you know, you can't get it all done. You know what I'm saying? You can't take time for yourself without feeling bad. You know, it gets overwhelming. It gets overwhelming. Even being on here, I'm like, oh my gosh, am I ignoring my children? I'm just trying to have a good time, you know?
Yes.
But, you know, and raising kids in this day and age is like super difficult. You know, I'm a homeschooling mom. I'm a stay-at-home mom. So it's just be a lot. And sometimes I be feeling like I'm not doing enough.
Yes.
You know?
100%.
So it does create feelings of inadequacy or feelings of you not being enough.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Yeah,
see that. So okay. Before you get off, because Gail, I'm gonna ask you the same thing, and to come back on and answer this question, in regards to that and that feeling of inadequacy, how do you combat that and give yourself the strength every day to say, you know what, I'm gonna make this happen regardless? So what are some of the things that you do so other people who may be dealing with the same thing can maybe piggyback off that and use the same strengths?
Okay, so the first thing is I try to get in my journal every day to journal my experiences and like kind of weigh out what I'm doing good, what I can improve on.
Yes.
Then I be having like a lot of affirmations around me. So like even in my car, I have something that says you are enough on my rearview mirror. So just constant reminders of, you know, things to say to myself, to encourage myself, and trying to, even though I may feel bad for taking time for myself, just kind of fighting through that and doing things anyway to kind of fill my cup so that I'm able to pour into my kids.
Yes.
And then that'll make me feel better about, you know, how I mother.
100%.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that. You want to elaborate
Sorry for
on that?
running around here like that.
Oh no, no worries at all.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
But
sir.
you know,
He
what
touched
she
my
said,
soul.
what she said is so common. The daily things that we deal with can cause us to feel inadequate when we feel overwhelmed and we're juggling things, and it's a common thing.
Yes.
And so there are a lot of people who are walking around exhausted at the end of the day, and as opposed to patting themselves on the back and say, you know what, I did the best I could and I feel okay, the opposite happens. Man, I sucked at this. I didn't get this done. I was lousy at this. And so you give yourself the beat down.
Yes.
And so it affects your mentality, it affects your psyche because you're feeling inadequate. And inadequate opens up the door to other mental health issues. Inadequacy does.
Gail, how do you combat this, sir? How do you combat these feelings?
I would say one of the things is this space and this community. You know, it's the more active I am in trying to give a little bit of time. Yes, I'm exhausted, but there's a certain difference between a physical exhaustion and a mental exhaustion. And and if I can at least be aware of what my levels are at the end of the day, there's a couple days a week I can't be in here because I'm freaking exhausted. But if I've got the mental fortitude and ability, I come in here and I interact and I embrace whether it be my close circle or the larger community, and try to be earnest and nice and polite and respectful, and I get that back. And it's great because none of the people in here have to be affected by whatever I'm doing in IRL. Not to say that I'm hiding that, obviously I'm not, I'm talking about it, but but that, just building meaningful relationships in here that I may not find elsewhere, and finding importance in that and value in that, instead of hiding away and doing nothing.
Yeah.
Even though it's funny, I'm fairly introverted. I always have this phrase that I say where I'm like, I hate people. And everybody laughs when I say that, right? Just as you did. But I follow it up immediately by saying, but I love persons. And so if I can find those connections with those one-on-one intrapersonal things, I tend to be able to just keep moving on because I'm getting that connection, that importance of myself through them.
I love that
because they're having that. So
appreciate you, man. Thank you. Appreciate that.
I'd like to say something to the ladies that are here, because I think it's important that they're here, that they're hearing this. If you have a significant male that you have influence or impact in their lives, let them know that it's okay not to feel okay. And that you can get help and you should get help. Encourage them to do that. And, sometimes it's one of the toughest things for a man to go to that woman in his life and say, I hurt, I'm scared, I'm struggling, because we have this attitude, particularly as black men, I got to always be on top of my game. I got to always be winning. I got to be in charge. I can't. But to be able to say, hey, I hurt, is a sign of strength. It's not a sign of weakness. When I can admit and be vulnerable. And I've shared this before. When I was a kid, I used to read comic books. And I was reading these Superman comic books, and I thought, he's invulnerable. Nothing hurts him. So the word vulnerability always sounded like a weakness to me. And so being vulnerable was something I avoided like the plague, because that's weakness. But once I matured and gained an understanding, I began to understand that vulnerability is a strength, to be able to let the shield down and be honest with yourself and those around you, to be able to get the help that you need. But as long as you're walking around like nothing hurts, then you're never going to get healed. You're never going to get to it. And then that's when the crisis comes. And I say the mental health crisis comes when things are out of control now.
Now, a lot of what you just spoke on just now has to do with a lot about this country's view of masculinity.
Oh, yes.
So we're going to tap into that right after this commercial. And Miss Lovely E is here, and I'm glad she is, because she definitely gave her input in regards to mental health yesterday in the Truth Club. And I definitely want to hear your opinion and let everybody within this space know how many years that you've been engaged into mental health and things like that. So as soon as we get back from this commercial break, we're going to dive into masculinity, and we're going to hear a little bit from Miss Lovely E as well. This is Ask the Q, Speak Your Truth. We'll be right back.
Are you looking to take your online presence to the next level? At Lux Vision Studios, we're your one-stop shop for building a strong digital brand and connecting with your target audience. We produce high-quality shows in a variety of formats, including podcasts, talk shows, gaming content, and motivational videos. Our team of experts will manage your social media channels and branding, helping you amplify your story and reach a wider audience. We stream content across popular social media platforms and Roku, ensuring maximum visibility. Whether you're a gamer, entrepreneur, or looking to inspire others, we have the expertise to help you achieve your online goals. Here's what sets us apart: engaging content. We produce a variety of shows to keep your audience interested and coming back for more. Social media and branding mastery. We'll manage your online presence and build a strong brand that resonates with your target audience. Multi-platform reach. We stream your content across popular platforms and Roku, maximizing your visibility. Community focus. We believe in fostering a community around your content, creating a loyal following. Let Lux Vision Studios help you connect with your community and amplify your voice online.
Hi, I'm Jen Smash, and I'm here at VIP Entrepreneur Academy, where this is a world that you can learn how to start a business. For all you entrepreneurs who want to learn how to start a business, this is the ideal place to learn in the metaverse. This is a 9-week course where we go ahead and dissect every section of a business, from understanding your customer and industry to creating your budget for payroll and even taxes. We break down what is the requirements for you to have a successful business. So if you're ready to become an entrepreneur and want to learn the ropes, VIP Entrepreneur is ready to take in new students just like you. You can contact me at vipentrepreneur@gmail.com. See you at the next class.
Hey, what's up? This your boy Teray,
CJ Shotlow.
It's your boy Westside.
and you chilling with the Breaking Bread podcast. Hey, tune in and check us out every Saturday for some good talk.
You already know.
Good
The
conversation.
realest thoughts. You hear me?
Yeah, tune in.
Breaking bread.
Breaking Bad.
Jenny, I like your little business casual outfit you got on.
Thank you.
You know, I can't find nothing like that in that whack ass closet.
Oh,
we
there's
on?
nothing for us in there.
There ain't nothing for us up in there. Don't get me started. Oh, okay. We yo, we're back. Thank you guys for staying. Again, this is Ask the Q, Speak Your Truth. I'm your boy Burdenofproof, and we are here speaking on men's mental health, but it's evolved into something a little bit bigger here. Yes, we have the men in here, but as you can see, there's a lot of women in here as well, and they are definitely part of the conversation as well. So thank you all ladies for coming through, and I appreciate you guys. Meta Coach, before we went to commercial break, you spoke on a lot of things in regards to, well, things that I identify with masculinity within this country, if you will.
Yes.
Related to mental health, illness. So would you say the way masculinity is viewed within this country contributes to men's mental health as well?
I would say without a doubt, yes. Because the term masculinity has been so confused to men. You know, being masculine is misunderstood. Being masculine is almost like foreign to far too many men these days.
Okay, so before you keep going, let me just dig into it real quick, and I just let you knock the dominoes down.
Okay.
For those who don't know or have a skewed idea of what masculinity is. It's a social expectation of being a man, refers to roles, behaviors, attributes considered appropriate in society. So from there, sir, you got it.
Okay. And I like what you said, the social expectation.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Now, that's where it gets confusing.
Mm.
The social expectation, because man, that's almost like a pinball machine these days, you know, because you have people like me who grew up with a father that was like, in my mind, nothing could hurt him. He was tough,
Yes.
And he taught us boys not to cry. A real man doesn't cry. A real man is tough. A real man can defend himself. He taught us all how to box and stuff like that. So everything was combative and everything. So you didn't cry. So if you saw a guy that was more delicate, you looked at him a certain kind of way, because the cultural norm that I was raised under is a man is tough. He's out front. He's vocal. He can deal with stuff.
Right.
But societal norms have changed. And I'm saying societal norms have changed to where now masculinity is either diluted or confused.
Hold that thought, sir. We have Miss Lovely E1 here and Amber here. Now, unbeknownst to me, they are heavy in the mental health field.
Okay.
So I would love for both of you guys to come over here to the block right there, over there, introduce yourselves, and let the people know how long you've been involved in mental health.
Well, hello, and Burden. We'll put me on the spot. I'm Lovely E, or Erica, what you know me by. I am actually a licensed master social worker for about 7 years now. Been licensed for 7 years. I've worked in psych for that was probably the beginning of my career. Now I've kind of phased into the luxury of case management.
Okay.
So, but I do have a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience in the psych field, especially Jerry psych.
Okay.
So, yeah, and I'll let Amber introduce herself, and then we can get into the whatever question.
And we sure will.
Hello, my name is Amber. I'm a registered nurse. I've been a nurse 10 years. I worked in psych for a little bit, but I mean, dealing with patients every day, you deal with psych every day. So it's an ongoing thing. Psych is in every unit. It's not just in the psych unit. So that's who I am and what I do.
Well, thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I'm just gonna pivot off what Medicoach just said in regards to masculinity. And him saying that it's been diluted. What's your view on that, Lovely?
So I'm guessing that you kind of read off a generic definition of what masculinity is.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
think it's it depends on your perspective, because to me masculinity is an energy that each human being possesses. That means woman and man possess masculine and the divine feminine. So to me, masculinity is the act of doing, the act of go-getting, the act of pursuing, the act of just doing everything to manifest what you want. And the femininity is the act of receiving. So I view masculinity as an energy. So that means if that's the yin to the yang, we all balance each other out. I do believe that masculinity is being phased out a bit because I'm just gonna be honest, men have been in charge for a very long time, and women are getting fed up.
Shit.
Yeah.
I'm listening.
And I'm just being honest. I'm just looking at how the world is. Again, I'm in psych, so I'm seeing and hearing women are really upset and they are fed up and revolting, honestly. This is not a men versus women thing. I'm just telling you from a woman's perspective what it looks like. So I do think that it's a new revolution coming, and I think that masculinity, I hate to say toxic masculinity, but this is what is being portrayed to us in the media so much. Let me tell you, I love masculine energy because it gets the work done. But without masculine energy, I wouldn't have the things that I have, or I wouldn't have pursued the things that I've pursued. It's the act of doing. So I welcome it. I encourage it, and I also promote it, honestly. So
Interesting perspective. Interesting perspective, because I mean, in regards to being an energy, masculine in Western society includes strength, courage, independence, leadership, and assertiveness. So I mean, I'm almost sure from that perspective, men and women have these traits within them, but is there a such thing as men having them more so than women, or what? What are we saying here, medical?
You know, two things I want to address. You know, she used the word, and I knew it was coming. Toxic masculinity. Now, I see toxic masculinity as part of the delusion, the delusion of masculinity, because toxic masculinity is misused and it's abused masculinity. And so if women are feeling oppressed by masculinity and it's coming across as toxic, that's not healthy masculinity, you know, and that's part of the dilution of masculinity. When it gets toxic, it's like it's swung all the way to the other end. And if it's causing women to rise up and rebel under that, they're rebelling against something that is not natural, something that shouldn't be. It's you know, it's that dilution of it. And so, but I think that when we look at what masculinity is, and I'm looking at it from the standpoint of a man being physically, you know, biologically, mentally, a man, to where I'm embodying the characteristics of manhood. I'm embodying the strength, the mindset of being a man. Now, but if I'm balancing that right and I'm healthy in my manhood, then I don't have a place for the toxicity. And I don't pose a threat to a woman's femininity.
Lovely. Would you care to have anything else to say in regards to that?
I mean, he's that's his opinion. You know, that's his way of life. I don't have any rebuttal to anything that he said. I think that I respect how he views the world.
Right.
And again, when I speak about toxic masculinity, I'm speaking about unhealed masculine energy. That's what I was speaking about.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I'm not speaking about masculinity being toxic. I said toxic masculinity is what's being portrayed in the media before us, which is why women are revolting. So I do want to clarify that before I go on. But absolutely, I think that unhealed trauma breeds toxic masculinity. And if you go back through the lineage of Black people, that's full of toxic masculinity and femininity because of what we had to endure. So it's I would say it would be unwise to believe that we don't all possess some kind of toxic masculinity or femininity, because that's how we were raised and that's what was put upon us, and those are generational curses that we have to break. So that's all I have to say about it.
Well, you know, and to your point, like I said, the way I grew up, that was toxic, thinking that as a man I don't cry, I'm not vulnerable, you know, I got everything under control. That in itself is toxic, that behavior. So I had to relearn vulnerability. I had to relearn to be open and admit things about myself. And that became a strength in my masculinity to be able to do that.
100%. Couldn't agree more. Okay, so this is what I'm gathering, especially in regards to mental health illness. Mental health illness, if you catch it well, first of all, if you hold yourself accountable to know it exists and you have a problem, you can actually utilize that mental health illness to motivate yourself to create or to be something that you didn't even know that you can be yourself. Are we in agreement to this?
Yes.
Because let's say, for instance, I didn't have a dad growing up. I couldn't pick him out of a lineup. I mean, he could stand up here right now and I wouldn't win the Mega Million if he was in my face right now. Now, I'm almost positive that created some type of mental illness within who I am as a person growing up, into thinking that not being with a father was normal. Now, I had two options. I could either have seen that as being normal, or once I did have a child, I gave him everything that I didn't have in that mental illness, if you will. If I'm making sense. So
now,
go ahead.
Now, did you overcompensate with your son?
Now, see, and there we go. So, and that's where I'm getting. So when you say overcompensate, what do you mean exactly?
Okay. Did you take the attitude, well, I didn't have this, so he's going to have this. I didn't have this, so he's going to have this. You know, I'm going to do this just to make sure he doesn't suffer or struggle the way that I did. And so in doing so, put him in, do so much for him that maybe he didn't develop some of the skills that he could have developed in manhood. Because I've seen that happen.
Right. Honestly, I don't think I did. I definitely created situations to where he didn't struggle in the same manner that I did, but I did create situations of struggle. Like, I didn't want him growing up in the streets the way I did. You understand what I'm saying? So his adversities were through organized sports and things like that, to where he had to work to, on the basketball court. He had to work to earn his basketball minutes, or he had to work to get into the starting lineup and things to that nature. But in regards to like having clothes or the Nikes or the Jordans that I know I always wanted when I was growing up, I made sure I put myself in a position to where he had those things.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So, I mean, was that something that was overcompensating, or?
No, I think, by putting yourself in position, but I had a neighbor who had 3 sons, and this guy grew up really poor, but he put himself in a position where he was financially well off. So he gave his boys anything they asked for. They didn't have to work for any of it. And so I watched these boys grow up, and they don't have a sense of responsibility about anything. They don't value anything because everything was given to them because their father overcompensated for what he didn't have. So the pendulum swung all the way the other way. So he grew up without, and they grew up not appreciating what they had because everything was easy for them.
So, real quick, I'm gonna get to you in a minute again. Amber, from your perspective, in regards to mental health, and I'm just trying to understand, because Gail brought up, I just love his I love the situation that he's going through in regards to him combating a mental illness, in regards to doing something for his family and trying to create a better household for his mom and his dad and things like that. I want to ask, Amber, from your perspective, how do you combat mental illness?
First, mental illness, that's a broad spectrum of things. That, with mental illness is a diagnosis, like it's diagnosed as something. So are you mean like with mental health, like how, like?
Well, yes, ma'am. Mental health illness. I'm sorry. Yes.
So how do you combat your mental health?
Well, how do you combat like these, like I was like my guy Gail, for instance, in regards to him feeling inadequate in regards to not feeling that he might let his parents down, or he might not get through the situation, or it might not come out in the same manner that he's envisioned it for himself. How do you combat those things, or what are the I guess the coping mechanisms yes ma'am, the coping mechanisms that can be created in order to combat certain situations like that?
So it all starts from the beginning. You gotta dig through that trauma, that childhood trauma. All these things that manifest in our adult life started with childhood trauma. Everything in your life starts with childhood trauma. So if you don't take down that house and rebuild it from the foundation up, no coping mechanism is going to fix a leaky ceiling. You can put tape on it, meditate, but if you don't go back through that trauma and really unpack it, do the shadow work, sit with yourself, because a lot of people don't know how to sit with themselves. Until you can sit with yourself and work through that self and love the person in the mirror, your true self, you can't be successful. You can't move forward if you don't take care of your mental health by unpacking that trauma. Because all we do is just put more trauma on more trauma on more trauma, but we never work through it. So that's what causes you to have anxiety, strokes, heart attacks, all those things. It stems from your mental health being unstable by not working through all that trauma that you built up over your lifestyle. And just, we have that mentality of just push through. Just push through. I'm going to get through this. But if you don't take the time to get through it, you won't. So it's really going back and working through that trauma. That's the only way you can push through anything and cope through anything, because you have to know your triggers to understand how to combat them. If you don't know what triggers you, you can't combat anything, because you're going to go into any situation and something could trigger you that you didn't work on. And now here you are spiraling. So it's all about going back to the beginning and working through all that, because that's where it all starts.
Okay, so how do you go, Meta Coach? Go ahead, elaborate.
And so I like what she's saying there, because childhood trauma is the fertilized bed of adult mental health, or mental health growing up through life, whether it's good or bad. And to her point, if you never get a chance to go back and deal with some of those things, you're going to always respond out of that trauma. You may not even recognize it. Your thought processes, your behavior, your relationship is going to link back to that trauma until at some time along the way, something happens. Either somebody comes into your life, intervenes, or says something that helps you go back. And I don't know, Jen, if you remember the talk that we had in Coach about, and I used the backpack as a illustration of trauma. So we grew up and we have this backpack. And we get those childhood traumas, and now as an adult, we're carrying this big, heavy backpack around and of stuff. And if we never go back and look in this backpack and say, why am I carrying this? Then we walk around with that and we respond out of that. The backpack shifts and we start leaning to one side and we're acting a certain way. We're acting crazy. Now we're in a mental health crisis because we're carrying stuff that we've never dealt with. So
is it that easy though? Is it really that easy to go back and look for that pinpoint, that one specific the situation?
No. Here's what I instruct people to do in my practice. I say, go back in your life and look at something. If that thing changed, how would you behave today? What is the one thing that you can go back and say, this is causing me to act like this? And that's where you start to search. You go back, and sometimes you go back and you find, hey, I had this situation where I was told something, or I was treated a certain way, or I was punished a certain way. And as a result of that, I said, never again. It's never going to happen to me again. So now I have this defense mechanism in me that every time I get triggered by something that even remotely seems like that, I respond. So, and sometimes when you go back and you look at that one thing, it's almost like pulling a thread, because now when you begin to look at that one thing, you're going to probably find other things that are attached to it. And now that's some tough work sometimes. That's some very tough work. And sometimes you need help to deal with that. You need somebody that you trust, somebody that's trained to deal with some of that. Some people can go back and pinpoint that and say, oh, okay, pull the thread, and they have the fortitude to deal with it, but not everybody does.
Yes, ma'am.
If I could add to that, one of the tools that really helped me, two things: learning my attachment style, because that's very important. It shows you everything, how you grew up, why you're the way you are, and all that. And I read a book called Taming Your Outer Child. So a lot of us live our outer child. If we don't work on our childhood trauma, is the one, like, if I use the example of a diet, your outer child is the one that's like, well, we can have one more cookie. Instead of your adult self being the leader, it's your outer child. And your inner child feel like their voice isn't being heard because your inner child's like, no, we said we're going to stick to this diet. So reading that book, it shows you how to have that dialogue and let your adult self be in lead and tell your outer child, I'm going to take care of little Amber and I'm going to make sure she has a voice and is heard. Because a lot of our inner childs are begging for our attention through our outer child, which is our activity, how we act and how we display ourselves in the world. And our inner child's like, but do you see me? Because I need you. Are you here to take care of me? So really working and asking your inner child, what is it that I can do for you? What needs did not get met as a child that I can meet for you now to help you be the best, healthiest, highest version of yourself? So that really helped me have it. And I still have those dialogues. And I'm like, okay, what is it that you need today? And it could be a simple thing. I just want to lay in bed and watch TV. And I'm like, girl, we can do that. It's just listening to her and honoring her. It's all about honoring that child that you didn't feel like got honored as a child. Because you can rewrite all that stuff as an adult now by having that dialogue that you wish you had with your parents or the people that raised you. Have that with your inner child and help heal her. So once you heal your inner child, you don't even know the person you can become. It's a beautiful thing.
Ain't it though, Amber?
Yeah. and you know, and I like what she just said. You know, we don't even know what we can become if we don't get that healing.
Right.
And so too often people are living so far below their potential and their purpose because that trauma is holding them back, that childhood trauma, you know, and not being able to speak to that inner and outer child.
Yes, ma'am.
So I wanted to, I guess, touch on Gail situation. You said, how do you manage your mental health? Basically is what you're asking with going along with your everyday living. Was that the question? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So I want to talk to him if he doesn't mind coming up for a sec. Okay. So, and you don't have to say it out loud if you have or if you're not. I just want to know a yes or no kind of deal. Have you been actively diagnosed with anything?
I mean, I guess the only thing would be potentially in the past, like depression.
Okay. Well, to how you deal with that is understanding it. So when you get diagnosed with something, a lot of times we think, oh, depression is when I'm sad. Depression has so many faces. So
say it, lady, say it.
You have to understand the demon that you're facing, because a lot of people think that demons are these spooky little monsters that we learned about when we were children, but demons are your inner child's, your inner traumas that your child is facing. Okay, so you want to understand it first. You want to read about it. You know, you want to meditate on it, and you want to you want to in a way become it so you can step out of it. So understanding it, because when you understand something, you have peace. Understanding brings peace in all facets of life. So you keep going forward. I also want to let everybody know that healing is not linear. Like one day you can feel your best.
Off the stage, cuz.
Huh?
Nothing. I'm this guy.
Oh. Girl, you got to keep going forward. Even though some days you may have best days, some days you may have your worst days, but you have to be your own best friend. And like Amber was saying, reparent yourself, because our parents did the best job that they could in those moments, and they had with the tools that they had. So now it's our job to take those reins and say, you know what? I'm going to be my parent now. I'm going to give my little self everything that I never had. And so just being patient with yourself, understanding who you are, and becoming your own best friend, honestly. That's how you deal with it, because it's no one solution that's going to fit everything. You always have to be actively fighting your own battles and not depending on anything or anyone to save you from it.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
Well, thank you.
No problem.
I appreciate it.
Anything to elaborate on that, medical coach?
No, I think she said it. And it gets down to taking that individual responsibility for ourselves. And I don't know if it was Amber, I think, mentioned earlier about looking in the mirror. An exercise that I give clients and I give it to people in my support groups is a mirror exercise where you get up in the morning or anytime during the day, look in the mirror. Not to comb your hair, brush your teeth, or shave or anything. Just stare right into the mirror, stare into your eyes, and look at the person that's standing there in front of you. And see how long you can actually stare into that person, those eyes, and honestly ask yourself, who am I looking at?
Mm.
And the first time you do it, you might be able to do it for 10 seconds, 20 seconds. But I guarantee you, if you take it as an exercise and begin to do that on a regular basis, you'll be amazed at the things you begin to understand about yourself. Because as you're looking into your eyes, you're looking into your soul, you're looking at who you are, you're going to be asking yourself about things that you've said, things that you've thought, decisions that you've made. What has brought you to this point?
Mm. Uh-oh. He tapped out for a minute. But while he's doing that, Lucy, yes, ma'am.
I wanted to go back to what we were talking about when it came to I don't know, one of them was talking about how women are revolting, and being a part of those women who've been watching that happen, I realize is because women have created a space for each other. We talk to each other. Women talk to each other. We have community with each other. We speak life into each other. We make friendships with each other. And I noticed that a lot of men tend to isolate themselves, or when they do have a group of friends, they don't really talk about the real stuff. But women, we get deep. We heal each other. We have they have retreats where they go out and they have this whole spiritual awakening amongst each other. Like, we talk to each other. And that's what I noticed when you talked about the suicide rates between men and women, because you do not have community with each other. Women have community. Even if we're not in relationships, we have really good friendships that last a lifetime. And you have to start creating a community within yourself, people who you can talk to, people who you can be yourself with, conversations that are not just shallow about stuff, like really deep stuff, talking about your childhood, talking about things that affect you. You got to create the community amongst each other. And I feel like that's what you need, because as human beings, we need each other.
Yes.
We need each other naturally. And as Black people, we always had community. And we decided to adopt this individualistic sort of way of living, and it's not been helping us at all. It only helps when it comes to competing and making money and stuff like that. But when it's for your life and to grow as a human being, it doesn't help at all. So now women are evolving as people, but the men are not evolving. And that's why that rift is happening, because we're wanting you to evolve with us. But there's this fight that's happening.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, even go ahead, Gail. Before I start opening up my mouth, go ahead, sir.
Well, it's a streaming coming from that, which is what I was speaking of earlier about trying to connect with my community in here.
Yes.
It's that I feel like this space is kind of unique in the type of person it's drawing and keeping.
Yes, sir.
And whether that's your social circles that you go out to the clubs with, or like me, it's a lot of creatives and builders and stuff that I'm seeing in build mode that I'm not out in public with.
Right.
And I'm actually taking the time and opportunity to build those deeper connections with. And because I'm seeking that, because I'm not finding that, unfortunately, in my IRL local community. And I may have sought that, but it wasn't giving me what I wanted. And so I found myself continuing to search for that. And I am grateful and surprised and thankful that I'm finding that in people here.
Awesome.
And that I'm taking that opportunity then to be more open with those select people and gaining that emotional support and the back and forth of listening and things like that. That I don't know. You just can't walk out your door and unfortunately expect to find that in every day. And it doesn't always happen. We're so spread out, and there's so many people. Well, here there's an interesting concentration of the type of person that's being drawn to this space as an early adopter and that kind of thing. And I feel very grateful to have tapped into that, and that's why I think I keep coming back, and why I've been here for years. And so I think it's not like a addiction personality to want to be here every day or whatever. I'm finding a resource that's aiding me and it's continuing to aid me. So
100%. Man, thank you for sharing, Gail. I really appreciate it. And Lucy,
definitely.
to your point, you are 100% right. We as men, we don't communicate. We don't love on each other. Again, it goes back to that masculinity thing. For whatever reason, it's not a cool thing to do. As you can see, the women outnumber the men in this space right now. We're talking about men's mental health. You understand what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's to your point. Like, no, we don't communicate with each other, and we don't love on each other in the manner in which we're supposed to try to gain that type of healing, so we can continue to be leaders within this country and within our households and things like that. So I couldn't agree more. MK, yes, ma'am.
I have a question for Coach, but he just coined, so I'm gonna wait for him.
Got you. I hope he coined back. I don't know if his Oculus about to cut back out again. Yes, ma'am.
So while we're waiting for everyone to return, I was listening to what Glenn said, and he had a really good Gail. I'm so sorry. I can't read that far. But he said, and also to add to his point, Lucy's point about community. So society was made and built around the white man's perspective, like the white male's perspective. So they have safer spaces to have community. Prime example, if a white person a white male has an outbreak at work, they're like, he's just having a rough day or whatever. If a black man does it, he's angry, he's aggressive, he's not controlled. So that makes y'all suppress y'all emotions to where y'all don't feel like y'all have spaces to even try to have communities. Now I've seen it be more easier, like cross interracial. I know people that, are black and white, and they have great friendship because that their white counterpart created that safe space for them. But as far as black men creating that space, you always feel like the world tells you that you're aggressive, you're angry. Like, you can't show those emotions when you're upset because it makes you an aggressive person. So you choose to hold them in. And therefore, if you can't be vulnerable, you can't create community. It takes vulnerability to even create a community. But if you feel like you have to repress all your emotions and not speak on them, how are you going to create a community if you can't be vulnerable and open up to create that community? So I think it's a little harder and complex when it comes to the African American community, just because of history and how y'all are perceived, and how, like you said earlier, strong masculinity, you don't speak on it. You just hold that shit in, and it shouldn't be like that. So when black men learn how to be more vulnerable and open, safer spaces are created for them to build on that community. That's all I got. Thank you very much.
Hell yeah. Yes, ma'am.
And I just wanted to touch on that a little bit more. So I did want to touch on what Lucy was saying, how us women are progressing at a rapid pace because we're healing. I think the masculine needs to tap into that feminine energy a little bit more. I don't think that we're leaving you all behind on purpose. Like you said, we are wanting you all to
Y'all ain't leaving me
evolve.
behind. No, I was playing. Go ahead.
We are wanting the masculine to evolve and to heal and to grow. I think you, as I'm saying, you as in the masculine energy needs to be more nurturing to the feminine energy. I think because we all go through our things, we kind of treat the people that's closest to us kind of the worst, honestly. I'm not saying everybody, but I think we need to turn around and look at the feminine energy in ourselves and the masculine energy within ourselves and tap into those creative spaces, tap into, like, even being on here building worlds or building these communities around people that is feminine energy. That's expression, creativity. So I think the more that you all tap into and stop, solely focusing on, hey, I'm the macho man, I gotta do that, I can't do anything, and being creative and expressing yourselves, I think that's when the healing really is gonna start too.
Agreed. 100%. Agreed. Yes, ma'am.
She was referring to with the rift in the relationships between men, women, and I mainly talk about Black relationships. Sometimes we forget that we're going through this thing together. Like, we are here together. We are experiencing life together. We're doing this together. So you could be in your head all day, and then the world is beating you up and stuff like that. And then you come home and you just want to relax, and your woman is there trying to talk to you, because that's how we decompress. We talk about our day. We want to know what happened to you because we care about you. We want to know how you feel, what it went through, but you just want to deal with it yourself by yourself mentally, and you feel irritated. And I'm just like, when I see that happen, I'm like, we went through the same day. We went through it together. And I just want you to know that I relate to you, especially because you're my man. I'm your safe space, and I want you to be my safe space. We need to remember that we are a partnership. We are going through it together. When you was on them fields, we were there too. When we was on them streets marching, we were there too. When we working and bringing home the bacon, we were there too. When we had the kids and we're taking, I was there too. So remember, we are there next to you all the time, and to not leave us, because we won't leave you behind. Even though we're evolving as people, we are still fighting for you.
I hope everybody heard that.
Hey, I ain't gonna say too much, man, because you don't want to get canceled and shit.
Here you go.
I know they on YouTube. What's up? But man, listen, I commend all these women, women of color, man. These, the trauma, man. I just got in here, but I heard a little bit, and then when they talking about, I kind of get the subject, but the trauma that African Americans has been through is enough of a reason for what for how men are. But there is a way to rise above it, and that's through confidence. And women are attracted to confidence. A lot of people don't like it, especially other men who aren't confident, or other women who aren't confident. They talk down on it and stuff like that. But I'll say this, right? Listen, I don't want to go to get too crazy on it, but I do a lot of research for my family history, through like ancestry and stuff like that, and I was able to get back to the point with all of my ancestors, mom, dad side, all the way back until they were just numbers. Now, if I do want to find out if they were free before that, because they didn't have their names. If you were colored, they wouldn't put your names on any documents back then. But you can find your people in wills or deeds and stuff like that if they were a free person. But anyways, if you look back at the census, early 1900s, late 1800s, these families were having 10 plus kids. There wasn't no 2-3 baby mamas. There wasn't that. The only way you was with another woman is if your woman died or your man died. Now I don't even know what the system's gonna look like, moving forward. You fucking a kid in 2050 try to research their family, they might not even be able to get back because they don't know who their daddy was. And that's terrible. I think it has a lot to do with Jim Crow, locking us up, we not being able to vote, get jobs, the crime bill, sending a lot of us to prison. This affected a lot. Oh shit! No, Meta done hit me. They done hit me.
There they go.
They just said, "Oh, this nigga talking too much." I had to bounce back, but I mean, I'm very passionate about this. I'm very passionate about this, and I stand on everything I speak on. I think, man, most of my top supporters in spades are women of color.
Yes, sir.
They show they love unapologetically. They want to see me succeed even more than the men. And I'm not saying they don't, but the women definitely want to see me succeed, and they do have that caring nature and stuff like that. They're women. That's what they do. I think that as far as men, we just got to believe in ourselves and believe in our gut, because they will follow. But you can't show like, oh, you because that is where a lot of men hide their feelings, like you were talking about, because they scared of what you gonna think, not knowing that no matter what, you still gonna be there. So I think that the more that men know that it's okay to fail, if it wasn't for me having a loving mother and my wife being cool with me chasing this or being in here, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I know a lot. I'm not gonna put nothing on nobody else, but it wasn't always good, and at some point it was like, well, what is you doing? But she trusted in my vision and believed in my dream along with me. So I think men have to start believing in themselves a little more, and if a woman won't get behind you, will get behind that, I'm not gonna change up my goals and dreams for you. Just be on. But majority of them, I think, if they know that you really with it, they'll be with it too. But that's it. Hey, and if you need some research done on your family, hit me up.
Appreciate you, man. Hey, yes, ma'am.
I'm not sure if Meta Coach is going to be coming back, but I have a burning questions, and Lucy and Amber can answer me, or anybody else. First of all, I want to shout out to everybody going through some sort of struggle. And my question is VR an escape room from real life struggles? And can VR be used as a tool for healing?
Absolutely. I think a lot of people fail to realize that people try to separate VR and real life, but it's one thing. You have your real emotions, your real thoughts, your real feelings in this space. So you can find community, and like, if you don't want to do in your like real life community, they have mental health worlds in here. I just actually came from one. I think it's mental health and melanin. And every other Tuesday, they're going to start having women groups, to facilitate healing and all this stuff. Now, I can say they're not licensed, because that is something I have to say because of my background. But they're not licensed to do that. But community heals you. Having these conversations, being a part of a podcast like this, hearing different people's struggles, point of views.
Show, not podcast. Show, not podcast.
Being a part of Burden's show, the show that I am on, a Burden Proof. But being in spaces like this with community, it's healing too. And you'll find your tribe. It's so many different worlds and so many different people you can meet that aren't going to judge you, because we're all on here. Erica said all the time when she meet new people, what is it that brought you here? What are you running from, or what are you running to? and you just meet like-minded people and you can grow together. So yes, it can heal you.
And I'm gonna be honest with you. The characteristics of everybody within these spaces isn't that far off. Like for a certain perspective, we are all introverts to a certain degree. So when you start like peeling back that onion, you would start to realize that a lot of us have the same type of similarity traits, and that's what brought us to this space. So I mean, once you start, I mean, we are. There are a lot of similarities once you start to peel back that onion, honestly.
Yeah, I just want to say that me and I gotta get to stuff, but I have people in spades. I have like cancer patients in spades that gets on here to help them, through their journey. I have people who come up to me and told me they were considering taking their lives before they found this and found the community over at Spades. I'm not just promoting Spades because they go a lot of different places too, but I think it's not a getaway. I think it's an enhancement. You look at, for me, I'm thinking like when Grand Theft Auto first came out. I was young though, but it enhanced, my day to day because it gave me something to do that I was, I wouldn't say it. I wouldn't call it a getaway. I would say it's entertainment, but this is way more than entertainment, because there's real connections being made. There's people falling in love. There's people working, making money. There's people, healing. There's people finding purpose. So, I mean, this is real for so many people. I have to say that.
I have to get over there. You're on mute, Burden.
Oh,
My fault. You want to go over it? Yeah. I mean,
can you hear me over here?
Yeah, I can hear you, but the camera is there.
Excuse me, Lucy. I just wanted to, because I have to go get up in the morning. I just want to tell you thank you for presenting this. I definitely wasn't expecting to come in here and speak about anything, especially because I have to do this all day, every day. But it was super refreshing being able to share viewpoints, and I do thank you for creating this space. Even this conversation alone was healing. People don't know it just yet. Anytime that you are able to reveal and be vulnerable, that's healing, even if it's the smallest thing. So I do appreciate this moment. I've even taken, some things that people have said, and just this whole energy of this room is just beautiful. And I just want to say thank you all and good night.
Well, don't go yet. Can we take the picture before you leave?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Well, thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it.
I apologize. My Wi-Fi went out for a few minutes there, but I'm back.
It's all good. We got you, Meta Coach. You on mute, Amber?
I said, I love you too, Burden. Thelma and Louise.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Make it better. And
I want to make a closing comment, Burden.
No doubt. Hold on. I got you. Lucy, you had something?
I just want to say one last thing.
Yes,
and this has to do with men's mental health as well. I feel like when men create platonic relationships with women, they can, my male friends feel safe with me. And they tell me things that they tend to, they're afraid to say to other people because I create that space for them. And there's a perspective that women can give a man that can be very helpful to them with their thought processes and how they process information and process emotions and stuff like that. There's certain things that women could provide for that emotionally. And I feel like if you cultivate platonic relationships with women, that could also help you with your mental health journey.
Thank you, Flam. I couldn't agree more. Meta Coach, you want to come down and come back up and close out real quick?
Okay, is that better?
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay. Two things that I've discovered through my life, and I think about the happiest and seem to be the most well-adjusted people that I know. They have two qualities in common, and those are gratitude and generosity.
Mm.
And I find that when people really exercise that and really from their heart are grateful, it takes the edge off of a lot of things that will cause mental health crisis and strife, because gratitude is changing the mindset. And the generosity is just like icing on the cake. My ability to give beyond myself is a strength, and it also brings healing to myself. So I just find that those two qualities are just like superpowers when it comes to dealing with your mental health.
I appreciate you. In closing, I want to say thank you guys for being so open and vulnerable, man, to share this information with each other and be here in this space. Again, like I said before, it was geared to be for men's mental health and things like that. But I mean, it evolved into something even greater than that. And I think it was needed for everybody. And I just wanted to say thank you guys. Gail, man, I can't thank you enough for being as open as you were in regard to your situation and highlighting that mental health illness doesn't have to be something that's detrimental and life-threatening, but something that can actually be and related to something that you're trying to do to better yourself as a human being or your family and things to that nature. Lovely. Thank you, Amber. Appreciate it. Lucy, thank you for coming here and being open again and just sharing your wisdom. Coach, man, I can't, as usual, man. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome,
I appreciate it. For those who don't know, this was just as therapeutic for me as it probably is for everybody else within this space.
Hey, 100%.
I definitely know that I have a lot of situations that I struggle with through my life and growing up without certain things and certain things that I've seen and in my past and my childhood that I continue to battle with today. Some of these things affect me in regards to my relationships with men and women, if you will. You know what I'm saying? And how I'm learning that I'm still a work in progress. And as long as I'm working towards it, I mean, I continue to be a better person for myself and for those around me as well. So as long as I'm fighting that battle, I can't lose. So I want to say thank everybody for coming through, and I appreciate you guys. Lux Vision Studios, as always. CJ and Devon, thank you guys for staying up long enough to capture these moments. And I appreciate you guys. This is Burden of Proof. Ask the Q, speak your truth, and we are gone.
Hey, what's up? This your boy Teray.
CJ Shotlow. This your boy Westside.
And you chilling with the Breaking Bread podcast. Hey, tune in and check us out every Saturday for some good talk.
You already know.
Good
the
conversation.
realest talks. You hear me?
Yeah, tune in.
Breaking Bread. Breaking Bread.
Awesome. God bless everybody. I'm so glad, amen, that everything is finding you well, and I pray it's finding you well. This is Pastor Johnny live from our sanctuary here in the Metaverse at Word of Grace Meta Church. I want to invite you out to our service here on Sunday nights for worship and the word, now streaming through Lux Vision Studios. So excited about that and what God is doing in this space and place. See you Sunday. God bless you.
Yo, what's good? What's good? It's your boy HG. I was 702. Let's get tripping like a kid, untie his shoes. And you see the vibe and you see the move. Where I'm at, that's the Howard Hour Live to be exact. And you can catch me live on Lux Vision Studios to be exact. So make sure you tune in every Friday night, 11 Central, 12 Eastern, and 9 Pacific. And you know, everybody's a somebody. Catch me live on Lux Vision Studio. Let's go.
What's up, y'all? It's MetaClean, and listen, please join me every Tuesday at 10 p.m. for Meta Talks Live. And the awesome thing is, you don't have to leave your house to do it. Meta Talks Live, coming back soon.